That has got to stop.
Alison Roman's slow roasted lamb slab.
Everyone's always snapping, like, what are we in, West Side Story? Stop. Hello everybody, welcome to Home Movies. I'm Alison Roman, and today we are making a delicious, fantastic, easy, homey, elegant, elevated holiday meal.
Great.
Candles, I don't know, non-denominational candles.
Huh?
Yeah.
Falling from the sky?
Yeah, I don't know, dangerous. Honestly, I'll level with you. After this year's Thanksgiving Spectacular, which you can watch here, I did not know that I had it in me for any number of reasons to do like a full holiday video. I also got married this year. I started a podcast. I opened a store. The Thanksgiving thing.
Put out a book.
Like, I did a lot this year, so I sort of asked myself, do I really need to host, even in theory, like a big holiday spectacular? And the answer is probably not, which is why that ham in that freezer will live to see another day. What's the thing that I'm actually gonna do? If I'm not gonna like reinvent the pig in a blanket, what am I actually cooking? Like when the time comes, when push comes to shove. Today I present to you two dishes in a on a table full of, a couple other bits and bobs that require so little of you and give so much. It is impossible not to draw the connection between how magical like the act of cooking is. You're like, oh wow, gentle heat over a long period of time equals phenomenal. Like it boggles the mind. The first dish that we're talking about is a beautiful slow roasted lamb that is cooked in white wine and potatoes with some herbs and garlic. And the potatoes end up tasting kind of like those Greek lemony potatoes. The lamb is impossibly fall aparty, tender, gorgeous, delicious. It's, braised in like a Dutch oven. It requires no searing. There's an entire bottle of wine and it goes overnight. Like you put it in the oven and that's it. It goes for 10 to 12 hours. Same with our chickpeas. You put the chickpeas in a pot, you cover it with water, lots of chili, lots of olive oil, sliced onion, and it goes into the oven at the same time and it cooks for about 10 to 12 hours. And both of these things cook extremely low and slow. And if anybody questions, how is that possible? Why would you cook lamb for that long? Why would you cook a chickpea for that long? Because I don't want to pay attention right now. I don't want to babysit the food. I want to put a bunch of stuff in a pot. I want to put the pots in the oven, and then I want to go to sleep. I want to watch my stories. I want to like do something else. I don't want to like be sitting here cooking and searing and ugh. Anyway, so we'll show you what it's like to assemble and then what it looks like when it's out. And I can't imagine a better way to like celebrate yourself and all the work that you've done than by doing a little less work. We interrupt this episode of Home Movies to bring you a special thank you from our sponsor this week, Maker's Mark. The holiday season is officially upon us, and our friends at Maker's Mark know that it can be very difficult to gift something that is not only festive, but personal. The Maker's Label program allows you to gift a personalized bottle to somebody special in your life. And best of all, the label is free. The only catch is you gotta get yourself a bottle of Maker's Mark. For a limited time, you could head to the URL on your screen, makersmarkpersonalized.com, and then choose holiday, and then personalize the Holiday 2023 label with a name. No wrapping required. The gift is the bottle. The bottle is the gift. Be sure to order by December 3rd to make sure that this bottle reaches your loved ones in time.
Well, actually, someone, me, might have had a special bottle made for...
Oh my God. Wait, this is so sweet. Oh, David. It's to Alison and Max, my husband. This is a really good gift, especially for someone if you're like, I don't know them, like I want them to think that I like have a connection with them, but like maybe you don't like want to get them a sweater. Like, I don't know. This says I took the time to do this for you specifically. It's not generic, but also I don't know what size sweater you wear.
That's true.
The lamb and the potatoes, one dish. The chickpeas, you can do whatever sort of starch. I like the idea that I'm using the oven for more than one thing because it makes me feel good about doing it for that long. And it's just like a nice, I don't know, it feels meditative. My friend texted me and she's like, what should I cook? And I told her she should make this lamb. And I sent her the recipe, which has not been published before. And she told me that she took it out. She only cooked it for half the time because she was scared of doing it for as long as I said because the guy at the butcher said that it wasn't a good idea to cook lamb that long. Or she goes, the butcher. And I go, was the butcher a man? And she goes, yeah. And I was like, don't listen to man. I'm going to put this lamb in this pot. This is a standard large Dutch oven. I'm going to get about 2 pounds of potatoes here. I'm only measuring because I want to make sure that I'm making the right amount. These Yukon Gold potatoes are stunning. I don't know why, they're just like very pleasing to mine eye. These potatoes, I've done this both ways. I've peeled them, I've unpeeled them. I always like to peel them, but last night when I was making this, I forgot. But it didn't seem to impact the dish at all, which raised the question, why am I peeling them at all? I think it's because it feels kind of like fancy. Sometimes I'll do like a stripe pattern, and we are leaving them pretty much as large as possible without just putting them in whole. If they're especially large, this is maybe on the larger side, you can always sort of quarter them. And again, these cook for a really long time. And the potatoes, like, meat is something we expect to cook for a really long time, and we know kind of going in what it's gonna taste like. It's gonna be shreddy and fall aparty. This lamb ends up kind of being like briskety or like lamb barbacoa-y. It's like just fatty and falling apart. Mwah, so delicious. But the potatoes become like the most interesting texture of all. They just get really, because these are waxy potatoes, not floury potatoes, they get even waxier and they get really firm, almost like they're cured. And it's difficult to describe if you've not had them, but they're like, I don't know, they're just kind of remarkable. I think the acidity in the wine, with the potato kind of helps firm up whatever starches are in there. And that's why often you'll find lots of wine in recipes for things like beef stew or braises where there's carrots or potatoes. And it's that wine that prevents those carrots and potatoes from becoming complete mush. And so by virtue of this fact that in this recipe, it's lamb, wine, potatoes, garlic, and that's it, the lamb and the potatoes are both like braising in wine. And so the potatoes maintain their like sturdiness, their waxiness, their structure. It's very special. So the first time I had this dish was in Greece, humble brag. And I say this dish, it was lamb cooked in wine with potatoes. It was, I'm not sure beyond that what was done. I know that the woman that was cooking it in this restaurant, this taverna, was cooking it in this like large pot that was almost like pressure cooker style, like material, like tin. And it was set over a very, very gentle flame of like, but like a bed of rocks that were hot. And it wasn't live fire, it was just like hot rocks. I'm struggling to explain. It sounds like I made this up. I didn't. And when I asked her what was in this dish, she was like, it's just lamb, wine, and potatoes. And maybe she said oregano or something, I don't remember. I was like, that's impossible. I've never had anything that tastes like this. It haunted me. It was like the most wonderful thing that I had ever tasted. And I couldn't really figure out what was so special about it. And the second I came home from this trip, the next day went and bought a lamb shoulder and potatoes and a bottle of wine. And I was like, I gotta figure this out. Like I have to at least just try or like imagine what this could be like, because I kept thinking about it. It tasted so delicious to me. And it was so simple that like, it just reminded me how cool cooking is and how like you don't really need anything to make something truly spectacular. And it made me really emotional actually, because I was like, wow, cooking really is like primitive and emotional and simple and basic. And if you do it well and give yourself the time and the patience, like you will be so greatly rewarded. And I think we're so obsessed with more flavor and cooking things and cooking hacks and doing it fast and like quick flavor in a short period of time and like now. And you take something like this that's like 4 ingredients, but you give it 10 to 12 hours and your mind's kind of blown with how delicious it is. And you cannot recreate that with speed or with more ingredients or with a hack. Like it just is, like it just has to be, it just has to cook for a really long time. So anyway, just and travel log, I guess. Okay, so in here, potatoes, lamb, we have some pepper. I'm gonna put some garlic in here and some oregano. The garlic, I'm just gonna cut like this per usual, because the cloves will pop out. They'll sort of get mushy and jammy and melt into the sauce that creates with the lamb fat and the wine. And then I'm gonna tuck in some oregano. You could use marjoram, you could use thyme, you could use rosemary. As I've said before, I'm just not that into rosemary. I find it really aggressive and really assertive in a way that is like pushy. And that's coming from like a pretty bossy person. It's just too bossy for me. So I tucked in some oregano. It smells so good in here already. You kind of can, I mean, you can oversalt this, but know that in a matter of seconds, I'm going to pour an entire bottle of white wine over these ingredients. And this has obviously no salt in it. So you want to make sure that you are compensating. This is fun. So this is gonna go in our oven, and we're not gonna see it, touch it, talk about it, fuss with it for at least 10 hours. Resist the urge, don't do it. Your house is gonna smell incredible without you lifting the lid at all. So just let it do its thing, trust the process, and know that on the other side, you're gonna be so dazzled by what this looks, tastes, and smells like that you are gonna struggle to cook any other way ever again. Okay, so for these chickpeas, they're also going in. I'm using just like a regular. This is a 3.5 quart Dutch oven. The idea is that these beans or chickpeas need to be submerged by at least 4 inches to work out. In here, I'm going bay leaf because I believe in the power of bay leaf. I believe bay leaves taste like something. In this house, bay leaves taste like herbaceous, grassy, slightly verdant, eucalyptus-y. I'm getting koala. I'm getting g'day mate. I don't know. I think bay leaves do something. And there's a lot of you that don't, and that's fine. I also believe in astrology, and I'm not asking you to, but I'm asking you to allow me to. And because this lamb is like pretty mild, it's like tangy, it's meaty, it's acidic, it's, you know, waxy potatoes. This is gonna be more like a spicy, brothy chickpea situation. And I'm making the whole pound because if you're gonna open the bag of chickpeas or beans, just make the whole pound. You'll find ways to eat them throughout the week. You know, live a little. These also need quite a bit of salt. And I'm gonna add about 2 teaspoons of finely ground chili because I want these to be spicy. I'm taking some onion. These I'm just cutting into, they're like 1/4 inch rings. They're pretty thick. And they're gonna float on top of our chickpea bath with some olive oil. And as they cook, they're gonna sink into the beans. All right, so chickpeas, chili, bay leaf. You could add some crushed garlic in here if you wanted. And I'm adding like a solid like 1/4 cup of olive oil here. A lot of flavors, including that of chili and of things like bay leaf or other herbs, those are fat soluble, meaning they're flavonoids, a real word. Not to infantilize you, but it sounds like a made-up word. The flavonoids are activated by fat instead of water. There are certain things that are water soluble and there are certain things that are fat soluble. But a lot of flavor is fat soluble. So without the thick layer of olive oil, you're gonna kind of get like a weak tasting broth almost. And so that olive oil is like not only helping you with texture and body of the finished product, but it's gonna like extract a lot more flavor than if you would just use water. The more you know. Another good pinch of chili for good measure. I just covered it by about 2 inches of water. All right, so this is gonna go into our oven also at 275 for also 10 to 12 hours. And these are the kind of things, especially chickpeas even more so than beans, if they went 14 hours, they would honestly just continue to soak up flavor. The only risk you run is them becoming too salty. So just kind of monitor that situation. So we'll see you in 10 to 12 hours. The only thing that goes better with lamb than potatoes or wine or chickpeas is an anchovy. Absolute banger of a combination. There's something about the like meatiness that intensifies as it cooks and the saltiness that like mitigates the lamminess and the gaminess and ness. So I'm going to do my greens, which again, very Grecian to have just like a beautiful side of sauteed or wilted greens with anchovy. I'm gonna cut these stems out. These are dandelion greens, which I love, and my acupuncturist said are very good for your blood. All right, these are just gonna go quick. Olive oil, garlic, anchovy, melt it, add your greens, wilt it, season with lemon, that's it. I'm gonna add the garlic to the oil to get it start toasting while I strip the leaves from the Swiss chard. Dandelion greens are great. I love them. They're bitter. They're not for everyone. If you know me, you may know that I enjoy bitter flavors. I like the whole lemon. I love a Negroni. I love artichokes. I love anything that has like a bitterness to it. If that is not you, there's a chance you might not like dandelion greens, which is fine. You could use all kale. You could use spinach. You could use Swiss chard. For these, any of the leaves that I'm using, you just kind of want to tear into bite-sized pieces. The thing about doing this though, cooking these greens like down to like evaporate the water is a really good idea because it concentrates the flavors. It just kind of makes them like more intense. You end up with a lot less of the green, like everything like really shrinks down. But I think it's worth it. So this is about a bunch of dandelion greens and a bunch of Swiss chard. This is to me like a really good side for 4 to 6 people. Should you have leftovers, great, but I don't think you will. This leaf is just absolutely massive. I'm gonna toast the garlic, then I'm gonna add the anchovy. I'm gonna add, let's call it half this jar. So watch the anchovy just like melt into the oil. I know you've watched this happen before when I've made like pantry pasta or shallot pasta, blah, blah, blah. But this is just gonna be our oil that we're gonna wilt our greens in. Just give them like a nestle. You can turn the heat down. You don't want anything to burn. And this will take, you know, some time. Not as long as your lamb and your chickpeas, but you can work in batches. So I'm gonna come over here and I'll tear my dandelion and add that. I don't mind the stems of the dandelion. They're gonna stick out a little bit. As you'll see, I cut off the like really, really long parts, but I left the ends here. It's just part of the dandelion. All right, so I'm just gonna keep adding greens, keep wilting, keep adding greens, keep wilting, and that's what's gonna happen until all the greens are added and they're all wilted. They'll all fit in the skillet. I know it sort of always feels like, should I have used a bigger skillet? Well, guess what, folks? I don't have a bigger skillet. And all my pots are in use, so this is it. Do we have time for aioli? All things being equal, with this meal, with the chickpeas, the potatoes, the lamb, the greens, do we want garlicky yogurt? Do we want whole Greek yogurt with a little grated garlic in there, lemon juice swirled in, salt, pepper, yum, yum? Or do we want beautiful aioli, olive oil, canola oil, egg yolk, lemon juice, grated garlic, little anchovy?
I'm not a Greek person, but the yogurt feels more Greek, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the yogurt?
Yogurt! Well, yogurt it is, folks. You just saved yourselves approximately 14 minutes. Though, this isn't gonna be enough, really. This is a tiny ass cup of yogurt, but okay, so in a perfect world, you have more than this yogurt. See how dry these are? The flavors are concentrated. They're like looking extremely healthy. And see how much they shrank? Like this was like 4 times as big. So good. Wow. Garlicky, anchovy-y, bitter, tangy. I don't know why they're tangy, but they are. I'm not making it up. If you were watching me ask the group if we wanted aioli or yogurt and you were screaming, aioli, you could just do that too. You could watch this video here and I make aioli and that's how I would do it for this. Oh my God, this is coming out after Thanksgiving. Did you guys have a good Thanksgiving? Let me know in the comments below. This is so delicious. Wow. Okay, beautiful garlic sauce. Okay.
Wow.
So lamby, so delicious. Our lamb is beautiful and tender. It honestly tastes almost like brisket. It's so like rich and fatty and delicious and wonderful. To plate it, it's sort of like, you know, the meat will fall apart almost immediately. But these potatoes are also so tender and like soaked in wine and kind of start to caramelize. Like their texture really changes. A long cooked potato like this in wine, it's kind of like unlike anything I've ever had. It's like firm, but waxy. Nothing in here was browned. This was just like the natural progression of caramelization, et cetera, et cetera. Every time I make this and I post a photo of it, which just made me sound like somebody's mom, people are like, I want that recipe. And I was like, I don't know if it's like worth a recipe. Like it's like a bottle of wine, it's lamb shoulder, you could use leg of lamb. But then I was like, you know what, it really is, because Now this has become like my favorite thing to make. And see how much or not much liquid is in this? It's reduced a lot, even with the lid on. It feels kind of wild to want to like top this with more herbs, but because we roasted it with oregano, I'm gonna do some more fresh oregano. Dill, obviously so good here. Parsley, cilantro. It could be kind of like a smattering of herbs. If you don't have any herbs, that's okay. This is still like a very delicious, perfect meal, even without it. I'm setting a table. I don't know, I wanted to make it nice.
This is a really nice vibe.
I'm actually having people over and they're gonna eat all this. And because I am like super hot to trot lately on Calabrian chilies, I know those aren't, you know, this isn't an exclusively Greek dinner, but they're like fermented little chilies in a jar. You could use any chili paste you like. There's something about like the warm brothy chickpea with like a hit of that super spicy fermented chili at the end that just makes these like very enjoyable to me, but you can skip it. I like adding them after they're cooked, not before. I know they're not fresh, but the flavor really changes once they're cooked. It kind of mellows, it kind of shifts, it changes, it gets like a little less fermenty, a little less potent. So in an effort to keep them like pretty fiery and like that fresh fermented flavor, I add them at the end. Mommy's juice. Yeah, so this is, I mean, I'm literally, when you guys all go home, I'm doing this. People are coming over to eat this. So I feel like this, you know, when I was thinking about like what I wanted to do for the holidays, I was like, I'm gonna do something that I just really do. And I really do make this lamb, and I tell other people to make this lamb. And to me, this is like the ideal, like people are coming over to cook, what do I do? Yeah, and it's like a no stress sort of like hosting thing that will make you look really good and make you look like you did something really advanced when all you did was, well, you showed patience. So delicious. I can't get over these potatoes. Like the lamb is incredible, but I love lamb. I was a late in life lamb lover, by the way. I just want to go on record to say that. This wasn't something that I was born with. I came into my own. I was like cooking in professional kitchens for a really long time and did not like lamb. It was like only in the last, I'd say like 7-8 years I came around to enjoying it. And now I love it. It's one of my favorite meats. But I would say this is one of my favorite ways to cook it and eat it because, I don't know, it's just like so succulent, so tender, so delish.
Amazing.
It's so good. Yogurt was really the right move. And as always, thank you so much to our good friends at Maker's Mark for sponsoring this week's episode of Home Movies. Is there something I'm supposed to say?
No, it's just more like bye-byes.
Maybe just a quick slap with all the plates.
Everyone's always snapping, like, what are we in, West Side Story? Like, I'm trying to figure out a way to talk, sorry, last thing I'll say. I'm trying to come up with a way to talk about TikTok and like food TikTok without coming across as so, like, get off my lawn or like judgmental or old. And like, I just might be those things.